You've heard it said, health is wealth, so enrich your life with the Healthy Home Hour, brought to you by the Healthy Home Market every Sunday, 9 to 10 a.m. Know what's new and classic for health and wellness. Meet the local and national experts. Live God's plan to thrive, not just survive. I'm your host, Holly Adams, and welcome to the Healthy Home Hour. Hey, morning all. Thanks for being here this Healthy Home Hour, where we have a show I am so excited about. Our guest, David Bonilla, licensed acupuncturist, is here to share what I think is the best of Asia. I'm not talking about celebrities and rock stars named Asia. I'm talking about that giant landmass west of the Pacific. China and surrounding countries have contributed so very much to medical therapies that really go back centuries. Some say 3, some say 5,000 years ago. I mean, get this. Acupuncture has been practiced since before the pyramids were built, or before Rome or Jerusalem were cities. I mean, before the time of Jesus. Acupuncture came to be and is still effective, viable, and valuable. And we all know there's modern practical medical practices that can't measure up to that. And we'll get into all that right now today. So stay with us. Find out what it is about acupuncture and what does David Bonilla of Two Trees Acupuncture bring to this ancient practice. It's kind of sort of a back to the future medicine. So find out what acupuncture can do for you. This Healthy Home Hour brought to you by the Healthy Home Market. But first, some news about what's up at the Community Wellness Center behind the market at 1330 Central Avenue. Tomorrow night, there is a really cool class about knowing or analyzing your property, your land, using permaculture at 6:30 to 9. So I do believe that we're all going to start hearing a lot more about permaculture, or growing with the contours and the right relationships of plants out there in your backyard or the front yard, all around your property. Each plant, tree, and shrub in your yard, it has a relationship with the others and with the contours of the land. So possibly before long, we'll probably all be doing it because it will save water and all kinds of resources. So that's Monday, that's tomorrow at 6:30, and it's free with lots of value. And then Tuesday night, there's a monthly Aloha gathering. It's actually free, or a love offering. It's a class of hula. So work out your body and feel beautiful doing it. That's Tuesday night at the Aloha Gathering at the Community Wellness Center. And there's lots more good things going on in the community room, the Community Wellness Center later in the week. Check it all out at healthyhomemkt.com, or go to the Healthy Home Market Facebook page for details and discounts. So think about this. Back before alternative medicine was alternative, acupuncture and Chinese herbology was the medicine practiced throughout much of Asia. I think, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing, acupuncture. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I love acupuncture. So we're going to get into some details so that you can maybe love it too. And David Bonilla has some wonderful things to say about it, and is a licensed acupuncturist, has done a lot of study. We're going to get into some details about what he has done and where he's been. And he's a part of Two Trees Acupuncture. So thanks for being our guest today.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For clarification, I guess I want to ask you, just where did acupuncture start?
That's a big question to ask. The acupuncture that we practice at Two Trees Acupuncture is informed by the Chinese medical tradition that comes out of the classical texts that were compiled thousands of years ago and that are still used in Chinese hospitals today and in villages around the country. But acupuncture itself, there's a lot of there's a lot of room to interpret where it is actually from, because there's an interesting archaeological dig that happened some years ago where I think his name is Otzi the Iceman. Maybe you've heard about this.
I have heard of him.
Yeah, he's a 5,000 plus year old human being that was frozen in Europe in the Ice Age, and he had the oldest tattoos that have been found on a human being, over 5,000 years old.
He had tats, this guy?
He had tats, and they were perfectly preserved because he was frozen, And what ended up happening is when they were analyzing these tattoos, they saw, okay, there's these lines running down his legs and his arms, and there's these little points that seem to have been modified a little bit. And so they thought, does this have something to do with medicine? Why would he have these lines? And so actually what they did was they brought doctors from China and they had them examine these tattoos, of course, after rendering them digitally so that they could reflect how they would actually look on his leg when he was alive, because they've changed a little bit with time. But
sure,
they found that these lines correctly corresponded to acupuncture meridians that we still use today in practice, and that the points that they used correspond to things like arthritis and digestive problems. And so the treatment he had was hot coals, charcoal rubbed into the points, which we don't do anymore. But
that's good.
So there's right. So really, so we say Chinese medicine. Really, they were the first ones to write it down, but it's really indigenous medicine that has been transmitted through thousands of years, and it goes back way before the written word, and it has its roots in ancient Chinese shamanism, actually, but of course it's been informed by the different dynasties and all the different kings, and they're saying it. But what we have today is a pretty close approximation to the theories that they had thousands of years ago, which to me is really interesting because it's all based on observations of patterns in nature and how human beings interact and how we're a part of those patterns and how we ourselves are made up of the natural elements. And so we can't really, if we deviate from those natural laws, we suffer illness. And that is the foundation of Chinese medicine, is how to follow nature, because if you follow nature, you don't get sick. And if you do get sick, you heal by yourself. And so
what do you mean you heal by yourself?
Your body is healthy enough to just kind of bounce back. You do a little exercise, you rest a little bit, you drink some tea, and you're fine. And so they say in the old classical texts of Chinese medicine that they talked of medicine as a life or death scenario, and there's a lot of references to, if you do this, then the patient will live. If you don't, the patient will die. And so that, to give you kind of a feeling of how important this medicine is to them, to these ancient people, it was really life and death, because there were no antibiotics, there were no Western medical hospitals back then. So they really had to get really good at this. And so we still use the same techniques, but acupuncture in this country has not been elevated to the realm of importance that it has in China, where you find doctors of Chinese medicine practicing alongside surgeons and radiologists and internal medicine specialists trained in Western medicine in Chinese hospitals. So, and really they're kept on the same playing field, and they work very closely together. If you go into a Chinese hospital, you're probably going to get some acupuncture.
That's so interesting, because I know, acupuncture, it's said that acupuncture came to the U.S. as a result of Nixon opening up China back in, I think it was 73.
In the 70s, yep.
Yeah. And it sounds like, maybe some of you mentioned shamanism, some of those more esoteric aspects of that medicine didn't make it over here so easily, because by then the Chinese Revolution had happened, and didn't they sanitize all that?
They kind of did. They kind of did away, for the most part, with the spiritual aspect of the medicine, but they never went in and changed the old texts. Those old texts are the same, and the concepts that inform our practice, not just our practice, but Chinese medicine as a whole, those concepts of spirituality and medicine are still very much alive today. And there's still people, like we ask people, do you have dreams at night, and what kind of dreams do you have? And that directly informs our diagnosis. And I don't think that, of course, we look at other things like your symptoms and your tongue and your pulse, like any other Chinese medicine practitioner, but looking at things like dreams and having a systematic way to interpret that information that leads us to a diagnosis and treatment is a very unique aspect of Chinese medicine that you're not going to find systematized in Western medicine, which I think is, to me, really cool.
That's fascinating.
To say you have dreams where you're always underwater, or dreams where you're in a forest, that these mean different things. If you have these recurring themes, it's interesting to me. I love it.
That's funny, because you mentioned dreams, and it reminds me of Jung, that
Yes.
split off from Freud, who was like the father of psychiatry, psychology. Did Jung tap into Chinese shamanism?
Actually, Jung really did. He was good friends, close companions with a guy named, I think it was Wilhelm Reich, was it? Who he went to China as a missionary to convert the Chinese to Christianity, and he found that they had a spirituality that was just as deep as Christianity. And so instead of converting, he learned, and what he learned was a whole system of, I mean, we call it divination today, but in reality, it's just reading the patterns of nature. And that's what he learned. You call it the I Ching, or
Right.
the I Ching. That's what he went and studied, and he brought that back to the West and wrote books about it and commentaries. And Jung was really influenced by this sort of thing. So I haven't personally dove into Jung's work myself very deeply. I'm not the right person to ask about that. But yeah, he was definitely informed by Chinese medical, or not just Chinese medical, but Chinese philosophical principles, which is really cool.
It's very interesting because, there's a lot of conversation and people who are very, who love the Bible and read the Bible, talk a lot about how Jesus was in a garden, that he, after he rose, that he walked through the garden. And I find it interesting that God and Spirit and would talk about there's this incredible being, Christ, who would then be in the garden. And you're talking about, it's almost like there's really a spirituality of nature.
Absolutely. In Chinese philosophy, we look at the human being as being situated between heaven and earth. And so earth is the planet that we walk on. It's the materials, it's minerals, it's water, it's things like that. And heaven is what in Christianity they call God. If you believe something else, it's nature, it's the spirit, it's whatever you want it to be. It's that animating force that brings life to the material of the human frame. And so in Chinese medicine, we look at illness as, when you're ill, it's kind of like separating heaven and earth. And so we're trying to figure out what went wrong, how it's separated, and bring it back together.
Yeah, it reminds me of those wonderful sort of maps that you see in Chinese medicine books, and probably some of our listeners have seen on a wall somewhere in a health food store. There's an outline of a human frame, and inside that outline, there's kind of images of rivers and streams and
Yes.
a landscape. What is that? Is that what we're talking about? And there's this whole thing called qi. Does that factor in?
You're getting into really, really good questions. This is, everything in the universe is made of qi. The spaces between things are filled with qi. The things themselves are made of qi. And so it's basically the closest, there's a bunch of different ways to translate the word qi into English, but for our purposes, let's call it energy, And so when we look at illness, we're thinking of energy. We're thinking of qi. How has the qi gone wrong? Is it coming up too high and you're getting headaches, or is it coming down too low and you're depressed, and you sleep too much? Something like that. And that's a really basic interpretation. But those maps that you're talking about, where you're seeing the body laid out in terms of natural systems with rivers and mountains and things like that, that is the Chinese interpretation of how man is a reflection of nature. And then if you look at, the veins in our bodies, they're much like the rivers and waterways. And so the Chinese, when they came up with their medicine way back when, all they had was nature to learn from. This is even before books were written down and things like that. And so these people were really in tune with the natural cycles. They had no choice but to rise and fall with the sun. So what happens is a lot of, in our Western society now, in modern day, even in Eastern society as well, that with the advent of electricity and all this progress on one end, we end up losing something else. And what we lost is that intuitive rhythm that we had with nature, where we rise and fall with the sun. And now we rise and fall with alarm clocks. And we go to sleep and we look at iPads and things like that, which is really not so good to do. We're all a little guilty of it. But the hope is that, the sun and moon still rise just like they did thousands of years ago. And so that simply paying more attention to these natural rhythms, sleeping a little bit less in the summer, sleeping more in the wintertime, things like that really go a long way to preserving people's health. And that's part of Chinese medicine's contribution, I think, to healthcare in this country, is seeing I think the word holistic gets thrown around a lot, but Chinese medicine truly is holistic. It's looking at mankind, womankind, as part of the whole system of Earth, that we're not separate at all from it.
And then therefore healing can actually happen.
Exactly. Is that when nature keeps us healthy. When we get away from nature, we get sick. It's up to they say the good Chinese doctor to bring you back to nature. Because in reality, nature is the one doing the healing. If we give you a plant to heal you, or a combination of plants, it's nature, and you're taking it, and you're part of nature. So just getting in tune with these rhythms of nature is really the way to go. And with Chinese medicine, what it's really a specialist at is time. They call it the science of time.
Really?
Is that human beings are given from 0 to 100, they say, in the classics. And that when we say 100 years, we don't mean to say that every human being is supposed to live 100 years. It could be 89 years for me, 92 years for you, 120 for someone else. But that 0 to 100 is your natural allotted lifespan. And that we go through life and we get somewhat misinformed, or we're ignorant of the true ways to cultivate our health and preserve this natural lifespan. And so we die earlier. And in the first chapter of the Neijing, it's the Yellow Emperor's Inner Canon, the first book of Chinese medicine that still informs practitioners today. It talks about where we went wrong, because the book is set up as a conversation between the king and his court doctor. And the king is asking him, why do we not live to 100? Why do we not live out our natural lifespan anymore when the ancient ones, who are ancient to him, which is 1,000 years ago, and the answer was that basically we're out of tune with the rhythms of nature. The ancients used to rise and fall at regular hours. They didn't eat too much. The work they did was not in vain. Things like that.
Yes, it seems like there's some really basic principles that can bring you back to balance. And it's clear that we really do need to take care of nature, because nature takes care of us.
Exactly. That permaculture thing on Monday you're talking about, I'm probably going to go to that.
Yeah,
right. Really cool.
Yeah, I will be there. And so I am so stoked you're here today. Folks, stay with us. Keep it locked right here on the Healthy Home Hour, brought to you by the Healthy Home Market, to hear what David Bonilla of Two Trees Acupuncture has to say about how to bring your body back into balance naturally.
It's Saturday. You got up and ran a mile, then you worked in the garden, put in 3 beds of tomatoes and peppers. Tonight you'll be dancing. Tomorrow, maybe tennis. You feel great. No sign of pain. How did you do it? You took Curamin, the all-natural pain reliever. You found Curamin at your local health food store. Curamin's ingredients are safe and effective, so you can take it without worrying about unhealthy side effects. And Curamin by Terry Naturally is guaranteed to relieve your pain or your money back. You had pain, you took Curamin, and your pain's gone. Now you garden, play sports, and enjoy life pain-free. Would you like your days to be pain-free? Just ask for the Terry Naturally brand Curamin at your favorite health food store. Curamin. Curamin does not interfere with stomach, liver, or kidney function. It's intended for the relief of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and Curamin is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Every day can be a pain-free day. Look for Curamin at your health food store. Stop pain now with Curamin.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't, because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Novocaine, baby, Novocaine, baby.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour, sponsored by the Healthy Home Market. I'm Holly Adams, and we're here today with David Bonilla of Two Trees Acupuncture. We're going to get into that name to begin with, because it really sparked some things for me, and I want to share all that because I've actually heard the story about it. And so before the break, we were talking about nature and nature's role in your health, and sort of this relationship. It sounds, David, almost like a marriage between nature and our bodies, and how important it is to take care of our bodies and to take care of nature that takes care of us. And in fact, in the U.S., there's growing interest in acupuncture, and it's gaining prominence every year. I've read that only like 4% of the people in the U.S. practice or get acupuncture, and that it's just growing. I mean, it's now endorsed by the U.S. National Institute of Health, the NIH, and it's even covered by some insurance companies. Many big hospital chains have it in their integrative health clinics. Is it possible that, like centuries ago, acupuncture could sort of stand on its own, or is it really part of the whole picture?
That's a really great question. As far as centuries ago, acupuncture standing on its own, we have to keep in mind that acupuncture is one, let's call it a limb, one of the 5 limbs of Chinese medicine. And so the classically trained Chinese doctors, they were familiar with herbal medicine, with acupuncture, with moxibustion, which is burning herbs on the skin, specific herbs for specific reasons, qigong, which is, I think most people listening to this would be familiar with Qigong. Qigong is to Chinese medicine as yoga is to Ayurveda. Think of it like that.
To Indian medicine, Ayurveda.
It's a life cultivation practice that it's done on your own in your home every day. And then the 5th limb of Chinese medicine is nutrition therapy. So acupuncture standing on its own, it's definitely a powerful practice that's been around for a long time. And the old doctors that used it wisely were very skilled. And there's actually a quote, I believe it's in the Neijing, that says that those who say that a disease cannot be cured have not mastered the art of acupuncture.
So tell us, for those that, folks listening that haven't had a treatment and they don't really know what it's about, and some people get a little scared because
Sure.
they think, oh, I've heard it's about needles. I don't know. Tell us about acupuncture. What's a treatment like? And the needles, you can't really call them needles exactly.
We'll call them needles.
But they're teeny
They're
tiny.
teeny. They're not the needles that we're used to. And I think the fear of needles stems from our childhood experiences in doctors' offices, getting injections, and we're, the screaming kids, and they use the big hypodermic syringes that are filled with fluids, and they inject things into us. And it's not a pleasant experience. And I think people I know I did before I got acupuncture. I was kind of scared of it. But people carry that fear into their treatment. Some people are more scared of needles than others. But really, the acupuncture therapy, I'll just, to explain how gentle it is, I'll just say that most people fall asleep. And that if it was really that terrifying of an experience, that I don't think people would be falling asleep on my table and in my chairs. Obviously, if someone is really, truly petrified of needles, we have many other modalities. Like I said, we work with nutrition, we work with Qigong, we work with herbal medicine. We also do what's called Tuina, which is Chinese medical massage. So if you are freaked out by the idea of a needle, which our needles are actually the size of hair follicles, they're very, very thin, then we still have options for you. And we can't say that, some people really want to take herbs and other people really don't. Some people really want to get acupuncture and some people really don't. And so it's up to you as a patient to decide what's right for you, because I can tell you about the benefits of herbs and acupuncture all day, but if you don't want to take it, then it's not going to do any good.
Right.
So it's really about the patient. The patient determines where medicine goes. And that's what I think in this country we've kind of gone astray, is that we're looking to studies and medical colleges and bigwig doctors to tell us where medicine is. But in reality, the patient decides. And patients are getting more and more acupuncture, like you said. And so that's why acupuncture is coming to the forefront and being studied, because patients are choosing. For a long time, acupuncture wasn't covered by any insurance plans. It was seen as woo-woo medicine that's, it's just, it's ancient, it's fake, it doesn't work, it's placebo. But people are seeing now they're getting results where traditional methods have failed, and I see a lot of things like back pain in my clinic. Low back pain is probably, I'm pretty sure it is the #1 health complaint in this country, is chronic low back pain. And that's one of the things Chinese medicine treats beautifully. And one thing I like to tell people about a treatment is that if it works, great, you feel better. But if it doesn't work, we haven't maimed you with a surgery. We haven't given you a drug that you're potentially addicted to or it's going to hurt your liver. We haven't harmed you in any way. And so there's really nothing to lose by trying Chinese medicine.
There's no side effects.
The side effect, I say, is feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm treating a woman for digestive problems now, and she's reporting that she's sleeping through the night for the first time in however long. She can't remember the last time she slept through the night. And since the first treatment, she slept through the night. And results may vary, of course. Everyone's different, and depending on how your home life is and everything, that impacts your sleep a lot. But yeah, the side effects are feeling better sleep, better digestion, more energy, things like that. And a note on side effects in Chinese medicine: when someone, for example, takes an herbal formula and has a side effect, say they're coming in for digestive problems, they start taking the herbs and they start getting headaches, we don't say, like pharmaceutical drugs, oh, that's just a side effect. Sorry about that. You're going to have to take that. If you don't want the digestive problem, you're going to have to deal with headaches. For us, the headaches inform our diagnosis. We look at why you are getting these headaches, and because we're not looking at 1,000 different people that come from a study, we're looking at you, your own body's climate and interaction with these herbs and why you are getting a headache. And then we can modify the formula, it's called, because in Chinese herbology, we don't give one herb to treat one sickness. We give many herbs that all work together in the correct proportions for you. And so everyone's custom formulas that we make at Two Trees Acupuncture are a little bit different to reflect that uniqueness in Chinese medicine, which is another huge advantage. Because if you're given a pharmaceutical drug and you get a side effect, the only thing they can change is the dosage. Or they give you another drug to treat that side effect, and then you might have another side effect, and then more drugs. And I've seen a lot of people that are on 20 plus medications come in, and it's hard to tell what their sickness is coming from. Is it coming from some of these drugs, or is it what they're originally being treated for? And, it's not my place as an acupuncturist to tell people stop taking medications, because many of these medications are doing a great job of keeping people alive where other methods would fail. So it's really up to the patient cooperating with their doctor, who's informed by our treatments, to decide, along with the doctor's advice, when to stop a medication and when to continue it.
Yeah, I like that you make that distinction, because they're really sometimes it's important, it's valuable to take medications.
It's powerful medicine, and it should be respected. And respect goes both ways. You should respect your body when you're taking these things and listen to it. And you should also respect the power it has to save lives. And before antibiotics were around, Chinese medicine really struggled with the plague. Back in China, there was the bubonic plague, and it killed a lot of people, and there was an entire herbal theory that was created to deal with this. But, I'm sure those old doctors would have loved to have antibiotics on their side, just as another tool.
Right.
And the thing with antibiotic use in this country, it's been overused. But yeah, that's one of the contributions to Chinese medicine, is we can see these things as a tool. And we can interpret antibiotic use in a certain way. We say antibiotics are very cold, which is why some people have problems with digestion after they take antibiotics, because we say in Chinese medicine, cold things impair digestion.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's so many. There's damp heat and cold heat and all this cool stuff that I've heard about. And I just want to say I've had acupuncture and enjoyed it for many years in my life, and it really has supported me. And those needles, they're nothing. They really don't hurt at all.
Most people don't feel it. Some people feel sensations of course, the needle going in might feel like a little mosquito bite or something like that.
Right.
But a lot of people feel very interesting sensations. They feel the best description I've had for one of these sensations is I put the needle in someone's hand, and I saw him react. I was like, what's going on? And he said, I'm feeling like there's ripples in a pond. Like when you drop a rock in a pond and the ripples come out, I feel like that's going on in my hand, my arm right now.
So kind of a fluttery
like a flowing sensation. And it wasn't painful or anything. It was just a unique sensation that most people never feel until they get acupuncture.
Very cool. We have to dig more into that as soon as we come back from this break, because it sounds like a little bit of a chi thing going on. So we're going to talk some more about chi, folks. Stay with us. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour, sponsored by Your Healthy Home Market on Streets 103.3, Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
It's Saturday. You got up and ran a mile, then you worked in the garden. Put in 3 beds of tomatoes and peppers. Tonight you'll be dancing. Tomorrow, maybe tennis. You feel great. No sign of pain. How did you do it? You took Curamin, the all-natural pain reliever. You found Curamin at your local health food store. Curamin's ingredients are safe and effective, so you can take it without worrying about unhealthy side effects. And Curamin by Terry Naturally is guaranteed to relieve your pain or your money back. You had pain, you took Curamin, and your pain's gone. Now you garden, play sports, and enjoy life pain-free. Would you like your days to be pain-free? Just ask for the Terry Naturally brand Curamin at your favorite health food store. Curamin. Curamin does not interfere with stomach, liver, or kidney function. It's intended for the relief of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and Curamin is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Every day can be a pain-free day. Look for Curamin at your health food store. Stop pain now with Curamin.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Hey, thanks for being with us this Healthy Home Hour. Glad you're here. I'm Holly Adams, and we're here with David Bonilla of Two Trees Acupuncture, talking about acupuncture, Chinese medicine. We're doing a wide swath here, looking at everything. Swath, potato. So, we're talking about the history and how it's come forward into now. And I want to circle back to Qi, because that is, we've all heard about Qi, and maybe you talk a little bit more about what it is and what role Qi, Qi plays in treating folks, and why does Qi become imbalanced to begin with? Are we born with imbalanced Qi? Is just being on the planet part of the deal? We're going to have imbalanced Qi?
I think that the human body, when you're born into it, it comes with certain terms and conditions, and one of these terms and conditions is sickness. And it doesn't matter how healthy you are, at some point you're going to get sick. And we look at Qi as this kind of fundamental energy of arranging the processes of the body to operate efficiently so that you wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night, so that you can digest your food efficiently and, have a stable mental health condition and things like that. And Qi is this really ephemeral concept. It's kind of hard to nail down, and it's hard for me to tell you what exactly is Qi, because Qi is such a broad thing, And in the concept of Chinese medicine, we look at Qi as this kind of there's too much or there's not enough, or it's too hot or it's too cold, or it's dry or it's too damp, things like that. So when we're looking at Qi, when we're thinking about Qi, all we have to do is look outside, and the Qi of summer is heat. The Qi of winter is cold, And so it's kind of a quality of Qi to say that it's hot. So your Qi might be too hot, something like that. And so we kind of just look at it as, for example, different organs in the body have different functions, and when they're harmoniously functioning, everything goes smoothly. So stomach Qi should go down. If stomach Qi goes up, you vomit. And so unless you're poisoned or something, that should not happen. And so if someone has constant nausea, we say, oh, maybe they have rebellious Qi in the stomach, something like that. And so it's our job to make sure the stomach Qi starts flowing downwards again. And so it's kind of like, it's hard, like I said, it's hard for me to say exactly what Qi is without going into a whole scholarly discussion about it. But hopefully, does this kind of answer what it is by describing things that are associated with it?
Yeah, it sounds like Qi is really something, you cannot see, but it informs and it helps. It's sort of like the energy or the force behind the things that manifest.
It's like light. You know how light is a particle and a wave all at the same time? That's kind of what Qi is. I can see Qi because your face is made of Qi, and the air is Qi, and your hat is Qi, and I am Qi, and our voice and our words are Qi, and our emotions are Qi, and so everything is Qi. But yes, it is this subtle force that kind of permeates things. And one definition that I really enjoyed of it when I was in school was that, the force of entropy in the universe, of the tendency for things to fall apart. Qi is the tendency for things to come together. And so when Qi is working great in your body, everything's working good. You're sleeping right, you're eating right, you don't have, huge swings in emotion, And that's not to say that you shouldn't have emotions, just that they should pass like storms. Is that when you're angry then, and then it's gone. You don't hold on to it for 10 years,
Right.
And then if you do, that goes into our diagnosis. Again, this is a unique aspect of Chinese medicine that you're not going to find in many other health practices, is how these emotions that we carry with us that keep coming up in certain situations and things like that, how do they affect us? How do they affect our chi? You know, and so for example, grief, chi goes downwards. When you're grieving, your head goes into your chest, and you know, the tears come down, and that's chi moving down. And that's a very chi has to go every certain way. It has to go up and it has to go down, just like the sun.
So it has to flow. You don't want it to block, and you don't want it to, you know, get over, almost like, you know, having your foot on the brake and your foot on the gas at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. And that's, I think people that are addicted to coffee, that's kind of that aspect where it's pushing the chi really hard. It's taking energy from your body, because what caffeine actually does, it's not that it gives you more energy, it just prevents you from putting the brakes on, which is why you can be tired but wired.
That is not good.
That sort of thing. Yeah, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. And this is not to say coffee's bad.
Right.
It's just maybe the way we're using it is not the healthiest way, you know. And some people that get a lot of heartburn could do well to maybe see how much coffee they're drinking. If they drink coffee, does the heartburn get better? Or if they don't drink coffee, does the heartburn get better?
I
Things
see.
like that. Very simple.
Right. What about, you know, you've mentioned the sleep cycle several times in this hour here, this Healthy Home Hour. And I'm wondering, you know, so many people suffer from insomnia. I do myself at times. And how does acupuncture help insomnia?
So acupuncture, so I'll say this. When we treat a person, they come in and they say, I have insomnia, I can't sleep, or I have a hard time falling asleep, or I wake up throughout the night. These are all very different ways to experience insomnia that they all factor into our diagnosis in unique ways. And so when we're treating people, let's say we're doing acupuncture, we're not treating insomnia per se, we're treating the person. And so there's kind of, I'm not going to call it a leap of faith, because that makes it seem like it's not real. But when acupuncture is being done to someone, there's something that is fundamentally misunderstood happening in the body, that the ancient Chinese created a system to figure out how it's going to work. And so, for example, if someone can't sleep because they're too wired at night, we'll do points down on the lower legs and the feet to help bring the energy down. And that rippling effect I mentioned earlier,
yes,
all these other sensations that come up, this is the chi moving in that area. And so it's kind of signaling the body, okay, chi has been up too high, let's bring it down. And so if that's where your insomnia comes from, is your chi rising too much, then we're going to bring the chi down with these needles, you know. And other types of insomnia, we might put needles on the head, things like that. You know, it depends on where it's coming from in the body. So we can't just say, that's why in Chinese herbology, we don't say this herb treats insomnia. You know, it treats the pattern in the body that causes insomnia. And that's where the skill of the herbalist comes in, because it's very difficult to do that.
Yes, I can imagine. It's very subtle in some ways.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, but the changes that people experience are profound.
Very
profound.
Very deepening. So insomnia or sleep issues are so tough because it makes the body, you know, it wears people out and can be aging and, you know, bring out all kinds of genetic predispositions for problems from generations earlier that, you know, if you didn't have insomnia, maybe it would keep it at bay. And you mentioned depression and grief, that some of these, you know, following the chi and balancing the chi out can improve that. And then, you know, there's a lot of folks out there that have pain and sports injuries, and, you know, every football team in the country has got an on-staff acupuncturist. Can you tell us about, for those folks that suffer from pain, do you have like a testimonial of somebody that, you know, has improved?
Sure. So the first case that comes to mind is a man who was 72 years old, and he had back pain for 15 years, kind of right on his spine and on both sides. And on one side, it was a constant dull ache, and on the other side of his low back, it was a sharp stabbing pain when he tried to get out of bed. 2 treatments, and the pain hasn't come back. And of course, that is a really good outcome. That's what we all want. We want it to be really quick and fast and effective. Sometimes it takes longer, of course. But yeah, you know, acupuncture, it works really well for reasons that are not completely understood by modern science, but are completely understood to Chinese medicine science, so to speak. So all these different meridians, for example, I use the hand a lot to treat low back pain. And what we'll do is we'll put a needle in a point on the hand, and we'll have you move your low back. If you come in with pain, we want the pain to go away that day, or at least be very diminished. And so that's one thing I think surprises people when they come into our office is the instant results. And that's kind of the way we'd like to practice at Two Trees Acupuncture, is that you should really feel something shift in the session. And now more ephemeral things like insomnia, we obviously can't gauge whether or not you're going to sleep well that night just being in the office. But things like pain, if you have a frozen shoulder, we want you to move your shoulder before you leave the office. And so that's something that's very surprising to people, is that it's not just putting in these needles and hoping something's going to happen. We'll show you that it's happening. We'll show us that it's working. And if it's not working, we do something else. We have a lot of different tools at our disposal. So for anyone with pain, I would really, pain is the thing that acupuncture treats the best, because we can really get instant results with it.
Yeah, there's even, like workman's comp cases that employ acupuncture for people, that they actually have big improvements as a result of getting regular acupuncture for a time. You mentioned Tui Na. Am I saying that properly?
Tui Na.
Tui Na.
Tui space N-A.
Okay, Tui Na. When we spoke the other day, you asked me, well, you actually said, I see you're a little, you got a little something going on over there. And I said, well, yeah, my shoulder's been bothering me for too long. And you said, well, sit right down. And you did a little Tui Na on my shoulder. I mean, like 2 places sort of rubbing across the belly of the muscle. And I still today feel my shoulder to be more relaxed.
Yeah, Tui Na is something really cool. That's actually my favorite part of Chinese medicine. It's my specialty. I studied with a master of Tui Na from China. He taught Tui Na in the Chinese hospitals, and he was really effective. And how I came to know him is why I injured my back weightlifting, and I could barely walk. And when I walked into his office, I could barely stand up straight. I had to lift my leg out of the car. Anyone with low back pain understands this, has been there before, where you just can't move. It's a wonder I made it into his office. Within 3 minutes, I was upright moving. He did a point on my neck and a point on my low back. And I mean, from that point forward, I said, you're my teacher. And I followed him for a little over 2 years, and I learned his entire system. I'll be teaching it soon enough here. I haven't gotten the paperwork ready for it and everything like that. But, he gave me permission to teach his system. And that's really it's the centerpiece of my particular acupuncture practice, is that I use Tui Na on everyone that comes in for a private acupuncture session. So Tui Na is a system of Chinese medical massage that is as old or older than acupuncture itself. Because if we think about it, massage was the first medicine. If you stand up and hit your head, you put your hand on your head where it hurts. So that right there is very primitive massage. But it's true, that's what we do. So Tui Na, again, the kind of Tui Na I practice, we're going after instant results. For example, if you have back pain, I might lay you down and have you lift your leg up, and that might elicit the pain. Then I'll do a little Tui Na for about 5-10 minutes, and then have you lift the leg up again. And I want the pain to be gone or almost gone. And that to me is real progress, And I have a lot of people. The other day, a woman came in with neck pain. She's had it for 10 years. And in about 10 minutes, we got it down to almost a 0. She had about 10% of the pain left. And someone who's had pain for 10 years, you should see their faces when they can move their neck again without pain. It's really the best part of my day, is when people actually feel better immediately, because I want to transmit the very same thing that was transmitted to me. And so I've kind of made a specialty out of low back pain, because for me, that was my thing. That was my illness. And so I really want people with low back pain to feel better, because I know how it is. It just brings you to tears. Sometimes you can't move, and your freedom to do anything it's gone when you have chronic low back pain. And so I really implore anyone who has chronic low back pain listening to this to not just come to us, but try Chinese medicine in general. It can be with anyone, and they should probably be able to help you.
Well, back pain is the number one single worst thing that happens for folks about why they can't get to work. It is a huge problem.
Number one cause of missed work.
Yes, incredible. So you're talking about this woman who now after 10 years of neck pain, suddenly doesn't have it, and it is very emotional just thinking about it. And I kind of feel myself wanting to well up with some tears here, because that's what a relief that is to suddenly not have that burden.
Yeah, and it really, when you've had something like that for 10 years, you've typically tried everything. And where Chinese medicine excels is these cases where nothing has worked. And that is like, if you're one of those people listening to this and you've tried everything and you haven't tried Chinese medicine, you haven't tried everything.
Right.
Okay, let's say this. In China, they don't call it Chinese medicine. They call it medicine.
I see. Well, yeah, because it works, and that's what they're using.
They wouldn't do it if it didn't work.
Yeah, for thousands of years. It's incredible. Stay with us, folks. We're having a great time here learning good things about Chinese medicine, or medicine, as they say in China, about acupuncture and Tui Na and herbs with David Bonilla of Two Trees Acupuncture. You can check it out by going to twotreesacupuncture.com. That's spelled out TWO trees acupuncture.com, right at 1318A as in Apple 3 Central Avenue in Charlotte, one of these crazy Charlotte addresses. It's behind the Healthy Home Market at 1330 Central Ave. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Streets 1033, Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
It's Saturday. You got up and ran a mile, then you worked in the garden, put in 3 beds of tomatoes and peppers. Tonight you'll be dancing, tomorrow maybe tennis. You feel great, no sign of pain. How did you do it? You took Curamin, the all-natural pain reliever. You found Curamin at your local health food store. Curamin's ingredients are safe and effective, so you can take it without worrying about unhealthy side effects. And Curamin by Terry Naturally is guaranteed to relieve your pain or your money back. You had pain, you took Curamin, and your pain's gone. Now you garden, play sports, and enjoy life pain-free. Would you like your days to be pain-free? Just ask for the Terry Naturally brand Curamin at your favorite health food store. Curamin. Curamin does not interfere with stomach, liver, or kidney function. It's intended for the relief of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and Curamin is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Every day can be a pain-free day. Look for Curamin at your health food store. Stop pain now with Curamin.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't, because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
We're back. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour, sponsored by your Healthy Home Market. I'm Holly Adams, as you know, and we're here with David Bonilla of Two Trees Acupuncture, talking about the beauty and the depth and breadth of acupuncture. And we've discussed herbs and Tui Na. But one thing we haven't talked about that is unusual. It's really not going on here in Charlotte other than what you are doing now, and it's called community acupuncture. It's kind of a newer model. What is that?
So community acupuncture, it started out of Portland, Oregon, of all places, and the model of it is that when most people think of acupuncture, it's kind of the same way as a massage, where you're in a room alone and it's one-on-one time with you and the therapist, which is great. We offer that too. But community acupuncture it takes place in a big treatment room with zero gravity lounge chairs, and you're in a room with other people. And we discuss your case in private so that medical privacy is maintained, but we're able to administer acupuncture on a sliding scale for $20 to $45 a visit.
Wow.
And the reason we're doing that is because the community model was really started to make acupuncture accessible for everybody. And so that is the huge benefit to community acupuncture, is that anyone can do it. And it really makes this medicine doable on a mass scale for the population as a whole.
How does that compare to a private treatment, the price?
A private treatment, we start our sessions for $95 for the first visit, which is an hour and a half, and then $65 for follow-ups.
Okay.
So it's quite a savings to go the community route. And you don't have to just do community or just do private. Let's say you start with community and you need more, you can do private. Or if you start with private and you just want to come in for your once a month maintenance visit or something like that to de-stress or whatever it is, you can do community. And so, As far as I know, there's only one other acupuncturist in Mecklenburg County. Her name is Kristen Gregory, and she's in Huntersville. And she does community acupuncture too. But in the city of Charlotte, I don't think there's anyone else doing community acupuncture right now.
That is such an incredible service for people because, just about anybody could afford $20 now and again for acupuncture, if not more regularly. And, that's accessible because it's hard to come up with the 95 or the 65.
Yeah, definitely. And we considered that when we were starting this practice, is we looked at what does Charlotte already have plenty of, and that's private acupuncture. And so we want to contribute something more, something new to the community. And community acupuncture is, in all the major cities in the country, it's really taking off. It's in everywhere from Portland to New York City. And so it's about time Charlotte got some community acupuncture, I think.
Yeah, well, Charlotte's coming along. There's just things are starting to really rev up here, and I'm so glad you're doing that. And I'm wondering, you're sitting in this community acupuncture room. Is it you've already sort of done everybody with their treatment plan and discussed with them the particulars, and they've gotten to tell you, so you're in tune with them, what's really going on, and you're taking the pulse and you're looking at the tongue. In fact, let's talk about that. What is the pulse, and what is this thing looking at somebody's tongue?
So the ancient Chinese, they figured out that you can determine the state of the internal organs of the body by looking at the tongue and looking at the pulse. And so let's do a little experiment for everyone listening at home. After this, go in the mirror, stick out your tongue, and look at it. And some people are going to have a thick white coat. Some people are going to have a thick yellow coat. And these people might struggle with digestive problems, or they might struggle with low energy, especially those of you who have like a swollen tongue. That really points us to a certain kind of qi deficiency that lends itself to sluggish digestion. Not everyone who has that tongue will have that, and not everyone who has slow digestion will have that kind of tongue, but it points us in a direction to look at. And then other people might have a very pale tongue, and that's a different kind of energy deficiency. And other people might have a very red tongue, and these people are prone to heartburn, or they just feel hot. When people are wearing sweaters, they're wearing a t-shirt, this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's something that points us in the direction of a diagnosis. And that combined with questioning, with looking diagnosis, this brings us close to a treatment plan for you, and it kind of informs how your life is going as a whole. And the pulse, it's somewhat of an esoteric practice, but it has really concrete roots. And for example, you can tell if someone's about to get sick, if they're about to catch a cold or something like that by taking the pulse.
So the pulse, literally, like people are accustomed to when they go to the doctor or the hospital, the pulse, you put the fingers on the wrist.
Yeah, we put 3 fingers on the wrist, and each position that the finger lands on tells us something about a different part of the body. And so when we're looking at the pulse, we're not just looking at the rate of how fast the pulse is going, but we're looking at, is it like a big pulse? Is it a small pulse that you have to find and feel really deeply for? Or is it like we say, like a wiry pulse? Does it kind of have a hard edge against your skin? Things like that. And they tell us different things about what's going on in the body.
That's fascinating. So you check the tongue, you check the pulses, you've talked to people previously, and that now you're in the community acupuncture room.
Yeah, now you're in the community room, and so we get you set up on a zero-gravity lounge chair, and we got pillows under your feet and your knees so that you're comfortable, and we have a blanket for you, and heat lamps for your feet so they don't get cold, things like that. I know. It's great. I do it. I take naps in there sometimes when no one's around. But, then what we do is we administer acupuncture from the elbows and knees down, and maybe some points on the head if you need that. But yeah, the most powerful points on the body are from the elbows and knees down. And so that's the kind of acupuncture I do anyway, so it fits right into community acupuncture.
So it's quiet and everybody's sort of respectful and...
It's quiet and peaceful. People fall asleep. You can even bring in, if you want to bring in like a headphone or something like that, or earplugs would be better probably. And you can, listen to the radio or something. It's your time. It's your space. We just ask that people respect the quiet of the space, and that's it. That's the only rule, is keep your voice down.
So I got to ask you about the name of your clinic, Two Trees Acupuncture, that you have with your partner, Paula Kearney. And you both are licensed acupuncturists, not just you. And this is really a beautiful, simple clinic right behind the Community Wellness Center of the Healthy Home Market. What is it? Why Two Trees?
So we got the name Two Trees Acupuncture because Paula is from Charlotte. I'm from Florida originally, and I'm here now. But Paula's from Charlotte, and when she was in her mom's belly, when her mom was pregnant with her, she had really bad morning sickness. Or Paula's mom did, I guess. And so they went to go see a Native American healer, and his name was Chief Two Trees.
I have heard about this guy. He is revered.
He's a legend around
Yes.
here. And every story I hear about him, it's more inspiring every time I hear some things about him. Apparently, he was one of those guys, much like the old Chinese doctors, who could just look at you and tell you what was going on, which is a skill that takes a lot of time to develop. And, people had good results with him. And he did the old style of herbology where you combine a bunch of different leaves and sticks and barks and roots and make a big tea out of it, and you drink it and it tastes really bad. And then you
Right.
get better, and he sadly passed, but Paula really felt connected to him because she was treated by him when she was growing as a baby in her mom's belly. And so that's kind of where we got the name from. And there's also two of us, and the trees aspect of Charlotte having all these beautiful trees. And so we just figured it would, even if you don't know who Chief Two Trees is, it's a great name.
It really is. It's so beautiful. It's very magical. It has a real energy behind it. I'm wondering about, sometimes people really suffer from kind of deep things, chronic things like MS or lupus or rheumatoid arthritis or heart disease. And man, so many people seem to be getting diabetes. How about all of that? I know it's a big question.
Oh,
but
yeah, totally. But that's where medicine really shines, is treating the hard cases. And acupuncture really does wonders for a lot of these people, and especially herbal medicine. When you have something that has been going on for 10, 20, 30 years, and it's especially a chronic degenerative condition like MS or rheumatoid arthritis, this is where herbs really pick up and shine. Because the herbs, when we give people herbs, we give them a 1 week or a 2 week supply, and then they come in and get a refill, and then we modify the formula based on their progress. Like we went over earlier about side effects. If they're having side effects, we change it so that those side effects are gone and they can just heal. But yeah, we see the herbs as a treatment when you're at home, because it's in China, the way they prescribe acupuncture is you get a course of treatment, which is usually about 10 sessions. And so you get acupuncture from Monday through Friday, once a day. And then you take a break on the weekend and you come back at 5 more sessions, and this is perfect for China, and acupuncture is subsidized by the government entirely. So it's pennies to get a session, or it's free, things like that.
In China, they're getting acupuncture every day?
If you're sick, yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. Here, it's not necessary to do that, in my opinion, especially here. People that take herbs, they really see vast improvements. That's one thing I can really get behind when we treat people, is the herbal medical aspect. And the herbs themselves are, they're minerals. There might be an animal part of some sort, like a fish flake or something strange like that. But usually not. Usually it's just plants, like roots that are all commonly known. Like licorice is a big one that goes into most people's formulas, and you don't necessarily taste it, but it's there. And of course, this is natural medicine. And so we try to encourage people to really take care of themselves their own way. So instead of just giving herbs and saying, go home and take this, you'll get better, we look at their diet. We say maybe they're eating something or not eating something that is harming them, And a lot of times it's not a question of making these huge dietary changes where we have to cut out all carbohydrates or cut out all fat. We don't look at diet like that. It's not about proteins and fats and vitamins and minerals. And Western nutrition has that covered. We look at temperatures of foods. And when we say temperature, we don't just mean how it comes out on your plate. Think, for example, a jalapeno pepper. If you put a jalapeno pepper in the fridge and you pull it out, it feels cold to the touch, but you eat it and it is very spicy. And so when we think of temperature, we're thinking of these innate qualities of the foods that are there, irrespective of the temperature on the plate. And of course, by cooking it or freezing it, you do modify the internal temperature a little bit, but the true nature of it is there. So
very interesting, because food, everybody, I think everyone's confused about food these days, because, are you paleo, are you vegetarian, are you raw food, vegan? I mean, it gets confusing.
The best advice is eat real food, but not too much.
Yes. Thank you. So stay with us, folks. We've got just a few more minutes. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. Back here with David Bonilla of Two Trees Acupuncture.
It's Saturday. You got up and ran a mile, then you worked in the garden. Put in 3 beds of tomatoes and peppers. Tonight you'll be dancing. Tomorrow, maybe tennis. You feel great. No sign of pain. How did you do it? You took Curamin, the all-natural pain reliever. You found Curamin at your local health food store. Curamin's ingredients are safe and effective, so you can take it without worrying about unhealthy side effects. And Curamin by Terry Naturally is guaranteed to relieve your pain or your money back. You had pain, you took Curamin, and your pain's gone. Now you garden, play sports, and enjoy life pain-free. Would you like your days to be pain-free? Just ask for the Terry Naturally brand Curamin at your favorite health food store. Curamin. Curamin does not interfere with stomach, liver, or kidney function. It's intended for the relief of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and Curamin is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Every day can be a pain-free day. Look for Curamin at your health food store. Stop pain now with Curamin.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Hey, happy Sunday. Welcome back. Glad you're here. I'm Holly Adams. We're here with David Bonilla, this Healthy Home Hour from Two Trees Acupuncture that he owns with his partner, Paula Kearney. And they do herbs and Tui Na, this wonderful Chinese massage, as well as acupuncture and diet recommendations. Sounds like the diet recommendations aren't really that severe. Before the break, you said eat real food and just don't eat too much.
That's it. If you can keep your portions under control, that goes a really long way. It's not to overtax the digestive system.
Right. How about maybe before we go, we don't have much time left today. Have you got like a little tip, something, say, for some kind of issue that you see a lot of?
Yes, so sleep problems, I think, is the main thing. And my teacher that I studied with for about 2 years, he said that if you can fix sleep and stress in people, everything gets better. And so if you sleep better, you're going to have less stress. So I'm going to share with people a real easy thing they can do for themselves to help themselves sleep through the night a little bit better. And it's called the hot water foot soak. And basically all it is you fill up your bathtub or a stock pot, something like that, with enough hot water to cover up above your ankles a few inches. And you just soak your feet in it for about 10 to 15 minutes before you go to bed. Make it the last thing you do before you go to bed. So you brush your teeth, you wash your face, and you soak your feet. And if you want to add Epsom salts or essential oils or something like that, you're more than welcome to, but that's not what makes it so effective. It's about the hot water. So you got to make it hot. Now, if you have diabetic neuropathy, you don't want to do this because you can't tell how hot the water is if you have impaired sensation in your feet. So if you have numbness, don't do this. But if you can feel everything fine, then fill your bathtub up with this hot water. Make it like hot tub hot, where it's like kind of, you take your time getting into it, but you don't burn yourself.
Right.
And then soak your feet for 10 to 15 minutes, just a little bit above the ankles. And that's it. That you'll be ready to go to bed pretty soon after that. And so that's probably the simplest tip I can provide. It's free. It's easy. You can do it every night by yourself.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to try that tonight. I'm serious.
You're going to sleep better.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a pleasure. That's David Bonilla here with us today of Two Trees Acupuncture on Central Ave, very near the Community Wellness Center, right behind the Healthy Home Market at 1330 Central Ave. Come on out, check it out. And you can go to acupuncture.com and get to the Healthy Home Market. We've got the new patio out there. You can go and get yourself a custom smoothie and a juice and get out there and under the umbrellas and get a cool cool little respite for yourself. And until next week, I'm going to see you right here. And I look forward to a great, healthy week myself. I'm going to give the foot bath a try. And be well. Peace out, y'all. You've been listening to your favorite Streets 103.3, Charlotte's new hip-hop station. Pay it forward and restore yourself by making the healthy choices for you and your family, and enjoy life with the Healthy Home Market. Feel the goodwill and own great health. Check it out at healthyhomemkt.com. That's healthyhomemkt.com for store locations, details, and discounts. Get the best of God's green blue earth at the Healthy Home Market.